There we go. Channel monitor chicken. That's the spirit. All right, let's go. I bobbed my head forward and backward, peeking briefly into the spirit plane, the land of the Numi, the Numiverse, the Numisphere as some call it, and then back into this material world. I bobbed my head forward, and the lawn, the plum tree, the coop, and the horseradish were all still there, but their color had faded. Other colorful, glittering shapes appeared. These were the Numi, the spirits of the lawn, the plum tree, the coop, and the horseradish. The numinous inherent in the corporeal, as Scraggle Chicken likes to say. Apparently, not all critters can perceive the Numi, like people, for example. They have no sense of the numinous, and this is their problem. Peering into the numisphere is second nature to us chickens, though. We bob our heads, and one layer of reality peels back to reveal a deeper layer beneath. Some chickens think it has something to do with frequency and synchronized vibration. Others think it has something to do with us having more vertebrae in our necks than most other creatures. Most birds can see the Numi. Pigeons are fanatical about the numisphere, and they spend almost an equal amount of time there. I've heard rumors that snakes can see the Numi, but anytime I've had the opportunity to ask one, I couldn't get past all the listing. Sloths are the only mammals I've heard of that could see the Numi. And you might expect that giraffes could see them because their necks are so long, but they have the same number of vertebrae as people, and they're just as numinously blind. Everything has a Numi. Chickens and trees and things, even ideas have a Numi. The Numi look like the things they inhabit in a wispy, effervescent way, and they're constantly moving and interacting with each other, leaving interlacing trails of Numi nectar in their wakes. Looking carefully, you can see them as an essence just below the surface. It's all a matter of how you look at it. And being chickens, we look at them by sticking our heads into them. When you see a chicken bobbing her head, her perception is jumping back and forth between two dimensions. After the events of the previous day, I was in shock. I guess we all were, in our own ways. And I don't think any of us really recognized the scope of the problem until we heard about the kiln Numi. A kiln is like a big toaster, Scraggle Chicken told us. Are you kidding? I love toast, my twin sister, Goldie Chicken said, as she looked up from where she'd been preening her wing feathers. Last autumn, she'd won Best Plumage of Show at the country fair, and ever since, she'd been obsessed with her feathers. But apparently, this toaster didn't make toast, which seemed kind of stupid. Instead, it made pottery, which is like rocks that you eat off of. So it's like the ground, I said. Well, said Scraggle, pottery is made from the ground, but it's more like the feeder and the water. It's like shaped ground. Shaped ground, I repeated. That sounds like stupid people nonsense, Unreasonable Chicken snapped. And I hate to agree with Unreasonable, but she wasn't wrong. Next door to our coop lived the people and their pottery manufactory. A manufactory is a place where you make things with your hands, and people are all about their hands. They think they're so special with their stupid hands. And yeah, sure, a pair of hands would probably come in very, well, handy, but people were just so smug about it. Sure, they could pick stuff up, but they couldn't fly. And yeah, I couldn't fly either, really. The best I could manage was a sort of graceful crash. But they went around acting like they were so much better than everyone else because they had these big dumb hands. Anyway, there were two dumb people, the tall one and the even taller one, lady person and man person. They mostly minded their own business as they made their pottery stuff. But a few times a day, they'd come to the coop to gossip and to barter snacks, pellets, and fresh water for our eggs. They'd wave their big, stupid hands around so everyone could see just how special they were. And then they'd scoop up our poos, replace the bedding, and fluff up the shavings in the nesting boxes. In the evenings, they'd wish us good night before locking up the gates and doors to keep out the skunks and weasels and other forest riffraff. In the morning, they'd return to unlock it all again, and we'd stretch and yawn and waddle about as they served up some snack like cold leftover surprise, or cat food remnants, or just good old cracked corn scratch. Sometimes it even came mixed with delicious dehydrated larvae sprinkled on top. It was fusion cuisine at its finest, and it was almost enough to make it okay when they wanted to pick one of us up in their big dumb hands. Almost. Because Scraggle was coop matriarch, Lady Person had requested a tete-a-tete with her at dawn. I was a little disappointed when I realized that just meant she wanted to talk. It sounded like she was challenging Scraggle to a fight. The two of them stepped to the side, and Lady Person went on and on about her problems, like people knew anything about real problems. Scraggle was patient, though. She liked talking to the people. "You can learn from anyone if you know how to listen," she once said. But half of what the people said was nonsense. Lady Person stood in front of Scraggle, waving her dumb hands around and jabbering. "I mean, the pyrometer is giving the same reading, but the bisque was only a cool 07. Tell me how we're supposed to do a cone 6 oxidation firing like this. And if that's not bad enough, the glaze is full of goulites, the envelope is thixotropic, and Little Dog is gone on everlasting hiatus." See, half of it's proper words, the other half is gibberish. But Scraggle was a bigger chicken than me. She nodded back sympathetically and said, perhaps she should come and take a look. "Little Dog is dead," Scraggle said flatly after Lady Person had escorted her back. The sky had clouded over and it was starting to rain. Little Dog had been around for as long as anyone could remember, and he'd always been ancient. Scraggle had heard from her old mentor, Scruffy Chicken, who'd heard from her Granny Chicken, who'd heard from her Methuselah Chicken, that Little Dog was something like 2,000 years old. He was some type of Buddhist dog. He was about 95% eyebrows and mustache, and he always told these drawn-out stories about terrassing around Tibet with the young Dalai Lama, stealing yak sausages from street vendors and spending nights in the pound for chasing cats down the alleys of Lhasa. The stories all ended up having these spiritual morals, but you couldn't really tell if he was telling the truth or if he was humping your leg. Hold it. Is it humping or pulling? I can never remember which. Anyway, he'd just smile, pant, and give his little barks of laughter as he watched you working out the lessons in his stories. He'd been the security guard forever, and though he was blind and deaf and couldn't chase down anything faster than his blankie, under all of that beard and fluff was a martial arts master. Kung Fu or Taekwondo or something. A practical joking Taekwondo master. Besides meditating, his favorite pastime was pranking the people with poo. Strategic pooping, we call it. He'd go place a few of his little plops where he knew the people were going to step. It was very funny, and he was really good at it. Like a true master, he used poop as one of his teaching tools. He had a whole dogma around poop. Pooper villain, the people called him. We called him a pooper star. He kept a score sheet and everything. Sparkled Chicken started taking odds until Scraggle decided that gambling her eggs was a bad idea, and she shut the operation down. "He woke up 2 days ago and told the people that it was time for him to go to Doggy Valhalla," Scraggle told us. "What's that?" Goldie asked, preening her saddle feathers to a blinding sheen. "It's the afterlife of little warrior dogs, apparently. Some big off-leash area in the sky where they spend the rest of eternity doing the 3 Fs. Fighting, feasting, and fetching. Though I suspect that since his neutering, he's mixed up that last one style." And so that was it. Little Dog was off. But no sooner had the people dried their tears and hosed their shoes off than the pottery kiln broke. As they went to repair it, man person lost his whatnot, and the arm of lady person's thingamajig snapped off. Things have been getting dropped and misplaced and generally not working since, lady person had confided to Scraggle. The car grumbled when they tried to start it, the porch stairs protested every step, and even lady person's marmalade went all smarmy on her toast. Are you kidding? Said Sparkle as she pecked spitefully at a plum pit. I'd give my left drumstick for a bit of smarmy marmalade. Toast and smarmalade, Boopsy Chicken said with reverence, and the rest of us drifted on the fantasy with her, even if none of us really knew what smarmalade was. There's the idea of the snack that counted, a proper, exotic, from-the-house snack. Crunchy and high in protein, it would wiggle as you swallowed it. Smarmalade, I could almost taste it. Don't forget about Luckless, I said, as I surfaced from the snack fantasy. And then Luckless, Scraggle agreed. One thing is for certain, she said. The Noomy around here are peeved. That Kill Noomy in particular is fuming. He just sits in the corner, grumbling and smoking, his lid rattling and puffing as he simmers and scowls. The Kill Noomy and Little Dog were soulmates, Rosie Chicken said. She looked up into the rainy sky and made an experimental pirouette under the falling drops. Don't be an idiot, snapped Unreasonable Chicken, who just stood under the plum tree, puffed up and miserable. No one cares about Little Dog. What do we do about the snacks? Yeah, Sparkle joined in. This is a crisis. The snack flow is being completely interrupted. Now, Scraggled Jason. Rosie might be right. Little Dog enjoyed napping next to the kiln as it cooled. They were friends. Their Noomy spent a lot of time together as they snoozed. Schmoozing, snoozing, Boopsy said, as she tore at a dandelion leaf. Apparently, they spent every afternoon cuddled up beside one another. Under all of that fur and refractory brick, their big horn hearts glowed in unison as they traveled the dreamlands together. The Kill Noomy misses his buddy, I think, Scraggle told us. I could relate to that. I thought of how cold and empty the roost felt last night without Luckless Chicken beside me. I missed her joking at the feeder. I missed her antics in the dust bath as she pretended to drown, her bumblefoot, her funny little hop when she ran, her endless inquisitiveness and all her dumb questions. I thought I knew exactly how that Kill Noomy felt. Who cares about any of that? Shouted Sparkle, standing straight and flapping her wings for emphasis. What are we going to do about the clucking snacks? Sparkle's own Noomy was getting really steamed up. But don't you see? Scraggle said. Little Dog's departure has thrown the Noomy's pecking order completely out of whack. It's all connected, Stranger Chicken shouted as she threw her wings up in the air and ran out into the rain, squawking, The end is nigh! The end is nigh! It's the Squaggleips!